Today we're looking at the MVP of the previous month. This is a monthly series in which I wait to the end of the month and then I look back and see who was the MVP of said previous month. So now we're in December, so we're looking at November. November was interesting because it had two PLEs, Crown Jewel and Survivor Series War Games. And a lot happened. And also for this one, I'm adding mid-cards. I felt bad that the mid-card division, it was very hard for a mid-carder to become an MVP because, well, you know, the money's in the main event and the world title scene, so usually those were your MVPs. So I'm adding mid-card MVPs for both men and women, and I'm also going to do the tag team division from now on. However, the tag team division can be men or women because I feel that the divisions aren't strong enough to have multiple MVPs. But I hope that changes in the future and I can have two separate MVPs. But let's get right into it. We'll start with the men's MVP mid-card division. That's going to be Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed has been on a tear ever since, I don't know, one day he just showed up and attacked Seth Rollins. It was right after SummerSlam. So August, he shows up and he kills Seth Rollins, and it was amazing. Ever since then, he has been on an absolute rampage, and this month really paid off and showed how far he has come in such a short time. He started off with a match, a marquee match at Crown Jewel against Seth Rollins. Yes, he lost, but even in defeat, he looked super strong. He took like 3 massive curb stomps from Seth Rollins on the steel steps, in the ring, outside the ring. Even though he got pinned, he did get pinned, but when Seth Rollins was walking up the ramp, he just stood up and he looked like a beast. And Seth Rollins was like, what do I gotta do to defeat the guy? And that wasn't it. Then the next time on Raw, he destroys the whole Raw main event scene, Seth Rollins, Sheamus, and Damian Priest in order to get revenge on Seth Rollins for beating him. Then he goes to SmackDown, joins Solo Sikoa's bloodline, looks like he fits right in, dominates the old bloodline, the OG, including Roman Reigns, goes back to Raw, beats Seth Rollins. Yeah, Bronson Reed had a great November. Now, I will say the last 2 weeks, he kind of just blended into the background of the bloodline, but regardless, you go all the way to the War Games itself, and he jumps off the cage in a very spectacular fashion that will be replayed forever. That'll probably be one of the most iconic Survivor Series War Games moments of all time going forward. So yeah, Bronson Reed, he stepped up and he showed out. Next month, he might not be eligible for mid-card because this guy is main event maybe right this second. The MVP of this channel, it's you guys, it's you girls. You're obviously the MVPs. I couldn't do this without you. And to show my appreciation and to even bribe you a little, I'm trying to give away this belt right here. All you gotta do is comment below, subscribe to the channel, gotta be a subscriber, hit the bell notification, and give a thumbs up if you can. I would appreciate you. And you want to know what actually makes you an MVP? If you can watch the video from beginning to end, or just hit mute and let the video play to the end, because that helps the engagement of the channel. But seriously, you want the belt? It can be yours. 10,000 subscribers. Why am I doing it? Because I want to become a full-time YouTuber. I got to get enough subscribers to watch ads and this and that in order to pay my bills. Once I become a full-time YouTuber, though, I promise you that I am going to be the most, I don't know, prolific YouTuber. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm gonna do a lot of YouTube videos for you guys and girls. The content you want, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna be of the people. So who's the mid-card women's MVP? That's gotta be Naomi to me. You could say Io Sky, but to me, Io Sky's still kind of a main eventer. She main evented WrestleMania 40, so I'm still including her in the main event of the women's division. You could say, well, you know, Naomi, she's a main eventer. I don't know. 7 years ago, she was a champion, but 7 years ago, come on. I feel she has kind of fallen down the card. And hey, you know what? No shame in that. It happens. You know, Miz, you might say he's a main eventer. Not to me. I see The Miz as a mid-card act. And you know what? We need strong mid-carders, and Naomi's a strong mid-carder. Hopefully she does bump up to the main event again, but right now, she's a mid-carder and the MVP of this month because she had a great and excellent showing against Nia Jax on November 15th, where you believed she was going to win the championship. She did so good in the ring. We believed she was going to win, but it took Candice LeRae distracting Bayley Bayley, throwing Bayley into the post, and then she falls, and Nia gets the advantage. So even the champion, a dominant champion, couldn't beat Naomi. Plus, Naomi, she has this kind of like low-key, like back and forth with Bayley. They're friends, but competitive friends. She's advancing in the women's US title scene tournament, and then she finds her way on the women's War Games match. She has her little birthday hat, so she stands out. She's just, overall, I would say there's not much competition, but at the same time, even if there was, they only did a pretty good job as the mid-card act, holding the fort, just kind of being there, being present, and, having a strong showing at the same time, while fans just cheering her. So she did a great job not overshadowing anybody, but definitely always present and making her presence known. So now we're at the tag team division. Unfortunately, not a lot was happening. There were some matches here and there, but nothing really stood out. When I think about the tag division, what am I thinking of? I know Jade Gargano, she got sidelined, so that tag team now is unfortunately probably going to have to dissolve. That doesn't make them MVP. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, they have an interesting storyline going on where Tommaso Ciampa, he's very mean and violent, and Johnny's trying to be like cool and collective, but I don't know. I mean, that's a cool little like filler story, but nothing to set the world on fire. And there was a Finn Balor JD McDonough match versus the Viking Raiders, or War Raiders. Cool, but just a match in itself doesn't make you the MVP. It has to be story match. There's a lot of things that go into MVP, so I'm going to have to give it to the New Day. And this is before they broke Big E's heart. The last thing in November that happened was Kofi and Xavier going nose to nose, just throwing insult after insult at each other. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to tag teams, that was the most memorable thing throughout November. So I got to give it to the New Day. Their breakup storyline has been like a low-key favorite of so many people. They've been doing it so good. And the climax in November of it, just, Kofi saying to Xavier, you're too rash. All you did was win the King of the Ring. You'll never be champion. And then Xavier saying, well, you know what? You had the championship. We gave you Kofi Mania on a silver platter, and, well, you peed it all away in a 6-second match with Brock Lesnar. That was crazy. That was intense. And, yeah, it gets even worse the following week, but that's in December. But this is November we're talking about. But, yeah, even that alone was just so much a whoa that I got to give it to the New Day. Based on storyline alone, the New Day are the tag team MVPs of November. The MVP of the women's main event scene gotta be Rhea Ripley. You could argue Liv Morgan because she won the championship versus championship match, but in reality, ever since then, she's been owned by Rhea Ripley nonstop. There was only one moment when Rhea Ripley was like kind of out of the picture, and that's when Liv Morgan jumped her in a parking lot with a baseball bat and her bodyguard. But really, she just returned from that, and, well, Super Rhea, just came in and week after week have mopped the floor with Liv Morgan, and then she said, I'm going to beat you up, and then she went and beat her up. Let me tell you guys, you girls, something. I am not a huge fan of overpowered faces. What am I supposed to really get out of a face that comes in and says, I'm going to kick the crap out of you, and then consistently kicks the crap out of somebody? I want a face to, confront adversity. They have to overcome obstacles. But Rhea Ripley, there's no obstacle that she cannot overcome within minutes. Literally, she is booked so powerful that it's almost uninteresting to watch, and you can't even invest in the heel she's fighting, because what does it matter? Yeah, Liv Morgan's gonna come out and laugh at you, but the moment the music hits, well, Liv Morgan's just gonna get beat up. The best Liv Morgan can do is get a cheap shot in and run away. That is the best she can do. For real, Rhea is just so overpowered. And don't come at me like, oh, well, she's just booked that way, she's written that way. Okay, fine. I don't like the way she's booked. I don't like the way she's written. I love Rhea Ripley, the wrestler. I loved Rhea Ripley, the heel in Judgment Day. A heel, Rhea Ripley, can be overpowered. You know why? Because then a face has to overcome this overpowered heel. Roman Reigns, as the tribal chief, was allowed to be overpowered because that way when Cody beat him, it was a moment. It was a spectacular moment. But when a heel overcomes face Rhea, well, I'm not supposed to really cheer for that. You're not supposed to cheer for when the heel overcomes the overpowered face. It's the other way around. In War Games, there was this moment where literally the entire heel team was holding Rhea while Liv Morgan hit her with a baseball bat multiple times. That should have just injured her. She should be out for months, and yet, within 2 to 3 minutes, she was on her feet back in action. I saw a quote somewhere saying, not even Hulk Hogan, at his worst, would no-sell a baseball bat. Not even John Cena would no-sell a baseball bat. Super Cena. That is what Rhea is now, but she's even more super than Cena ever was, because not even a baseball bat and 5 heels can stop her, because she's still got the pin. That said, I can't deny that she's the MVP. I don't want her to be the MVP because I don't like her booking, but the fact of the matter is, this is not about my feelings. It is about how they're booked, how they're presented, are they in the dominant storylines, all that stuff, and based on the rules that I've already set for what makes a person an MVP, well, Rhea Ripley is the main event women's MVP, whether I like it or not. She is our MVP of the month of November, because week in, week out, she got the better of everybody. She was in the spotlight, and then she made the pin at War Games. So Rhea Ripley, your MVP, overbooked or not. The men's MVP could also be argued. The winner at Crown Jewel, Cody Rhodes. He beat Gunther and even set Gunther on a very dark path of just self-doubt and whatever. But that's Gunther's story, not Cody's. Cody is the champion of champions, and yet he was left off the card of Survivor Series, and that fact alone makes me not want to put him as the MVP, because he's in an interesting storyline with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, but yeah, you get left off the Big 4 PLE, I'm sorry, you're not going to make it. So that just means that it is, without a doubt in my mind, Roman Reigns. The men's main event storyline revolved around Roman, whether he was there or not. The shadow of Roman, the omnipresence of Roman, definitely was felt throughout WWE all through the month of November. First off, he takes a loss at Crown Jewel, which you're like, oh wow, how does that make him an MVP? Because this is WWE, losing doesn't necessarily bring you down a peg. Sometimes it does. You know, when Gunther loses, it definitely brings him down a peg. But when Roman lost, he elevated a faction and the new tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. So that was actually a very good thing, something kind of behind the scenes that, you know, Roman Reigns being there taking a loss elevated somebody. So that's a valuable thing. And then throughout the entire month, it's, well, is Sami going to rejoin? Is Jay and him going to be able to overcome it? You know, they keep asking people, will you join? I'm not going to join because Roman was a tyrant, and Roman this, Roman that. They're continuously looking. Roman's trying to get Paul Heyman to answer the phone. Roman Reigns always on SmackDown. The other OG Bloodline members trying to recruit a 5th member. Everything revolved around Roman Reigns and his bloodline. And then they come to Roman and say, hey, you know, what about this guy for our 5th member? They're still seeking his approval. Paul Heyman does eventually show. CM Punk does get involved. You could argue maybe CM Punk should be the MVP, because the storyline then did kind of shift to CM Punk, but it wasn't really a shift to just CM Punk. It was still a shift to CM Punk and Roman Reigns, so Roman Reigns very much a part of that. And then in the War Games match itself, you know, their interaction, we kept looking to Roman to see how he was going to react to what CM Punk was doing. We were more focused on Roman. He was the center of everything here. And then he did a crossbody off the top rope. That was pretty cool. But basically, this storyline, the main event, would not have happened, would not have been so intriguing if it wasn't Roman Reigns doing what he did, how he presented himself, how he reacted to things, losing in the beginning, and then getting the pin at the end of the month in War Games. Now it's 1-1, but it was all because of the omnipresence and aura of Roman Reigns, and that's what makes him our male MVP of the month of November. And so those are your MVPs of the month of November. We'll do December next year in 2025, and then maybe I'll add up everybody and see who got the most and who is the year-long MVP. That would actually be kind of cool, but yeah, that's your video for today. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. You are the true MVPs of this channel. Guys, girls, have a great day.